Good morning, sir. Myself Mahati. I'm from CSE department. So first of all, I feel very honored to be here. So my question is, public always wants a change in government or the method of ruling, but why doesn't public take a step further and elect an eligible leader? And besides that, they're getting bribed.
Mahati, it looks like an easy question, but it's a very complex question and also an unfair question. Who are the people who are suffering because of electing bad people? Which part of we? We is too big. Among us, which segment of the population is generic? But you and I are not seriously affected, right? We are angry, we shout at them, but our lives are not shattered. So whose lives are shattered? The poor. If they don't give proper education, we are all figuring out our own thing. Acha, we scold them, we shout at them, we abuse them, but to find money and put them to good schools, or we do homeschooling, healthcare, all had to get insurance or something. We are figuring out. But the people who are not able to understand the value of the vote are the ones who are actually suffering most. Now, if you blame them, saying that you created the problem, it's blaming the victim. Like, all of you girls, in our society which is male dominated and male chauvinistic, and we raise our male children generally badly. Sometimes there are catcalls, the boys behave a little badly. Can you blame the girl for the boy's bad behavior? The girl is the victim. Always remember, that's the comparison. I know, but that's wrong. That will never solve the problem. So even if the voters out of the ignorance or they are trapped in a vicious cycle, take money and vote. Yes, it's a fact. Yesterday, it's a fact that in Munugodu, most of the voters took money from both the 2 or 3 parties and voted. But they are in a vicious cycle. They are the victims, remember. There are objective conditions why that happened, and that's happening in the country. If you vote each time, you don't know what is happening where. There's no link between the vote and consequences, taxes and services, and each time you're disappointed. Then if money is offered, short-term gratification, it's not because they're evil and bad. It's because they're not seeing anything else that's possible. It's helplessness. Now, if you now vilify the people, blame them, in a practical sense, can you come out of the problem? Can you find a solution? So understand why people are voting that way. Why they are forced to vote that way. I can easily, because after all I stood for election, I put up all my candidates, I launched a movement, people did not vote in adequate numbers, I can blame the people. That's the easy and cheap and vulgar answer. Real thing is, why are the people acting against their own self-interest? Why are they forced to do that? There are objective reasons. One is the vote is not making a difference, therefore maximizing the short term. Or ask for some freebies without changing lives. The second is, to get even the simplest thing done from the government, they require a vast machinery. You go to MRO's office, municipal office, something else, police station, without some intermediary, nothing gets done. So the party that can arrange the intermediaries, whatever be the cost, whatever be the corruption, first there is access. Some fellow is there, I go to TRS worker, I go to BJP worker, I go to Congress worker, he may take money from me, he may do something, but he takes me there, he makes a phone call, EAO, without that I cannot survive. You impose that condition on the people. Go to some other country. If you need anything from government, you don't have to worry whom to go to. Nothing. It happens automatically. We fail to do that. Third is you make the government so distant, so remote, I don't understand. Unlike my apartment complex. So I have no understanding of the vote. So there are reasons. If our democracy degenerated, it's not because Indian people are bad. I want you all to understand, and I want the cameras to capture so that millions get it. This is a very common, popular thing. People are bad, yadha raja tadha praja, or yadha praja tadha raja, all kinds of things. These are all clever sayings, but they are rubbish mostly. People are people everywhere in the world. They are not that different. Have we created an institutional mechanism where I understand my self-interest? Now, what is the proof that it will work? Amarnath or somebody else, they told you about 2 lakh acres of irrigation. How do you think I did it? Do you think I'm a magician to achieve miracles? I simply created incentives, made the farmers understand their self-interest, created a framework where in a trustworthy manner things get done if they do their part, and they work like a charm. Like a great movement was built. I did nothing. I only facilitated. Ultimately, the people got the results for themselves. In my small milieu, in a sector, I decentralized power, made the people understand their self-interest, altered the incentives, they changed their behavior, outcomes were altered in a dramatic way, magnified by 20, 30, 100 times. That's the power of the people if you structure it properly. We don't structure it properly. We make them mendicants. We make them beggars. We make them go from pillar to post. We centralize power. We are arrogant. There's no accountability. We blame the people. Do you understand the fallacy? It looks nice. Many people say, "Kya kar sakte hain? People are like this only." No. That's a very dangerous thing. That's a very convenient way for us not to act at all. Blame somebody. Blame the victim. Yeah, that girl is harassed. Yeah, but then the girl is like that. Why should the girl? She must only bend her head from home to off college and go back. Now, see, in our generation, we never looked into somebody's eyes. Why should she? How absurd is it? Please think. Yes, it's a fact that our democracy is dysfunctional. But there are reasons why it's dysfunctional, not because we're bad people, but because we created conditions in which there is no other escape for them. If I contested, if Amarnath contested, or you contest, you go to them, they cannot afford to vote for you. Most often. They are trapped. And even if they vote for you, your ability to deliver is very limited. Because we created a condition where delivery is so hard. So unless you go into depth, that is the kind of rigor that is required. Not some generic statements about no, paltu hai, corruption hai, vote buying hai, freebies hai, ye sab hai. But there is a reason why it happens. It's almost a science. Then you find answers. Then you find levers, one by one. There's no one single fell swoop. One by one, step by step. And it's a long process. I wish I could say you can do it in 1 year, 2 years. I genuinely believed 30, 40 years ago we can do it in 5 years. Because any student of science and technology is optimistic. You have evidence, you have logic, you have a solution, it must happen. Kya hai isme? But societies take time and effort. What is so obvious will take sometimes a generation. And experience, not logical faculty alone. And once you get it right, then societies change.